In this series, we will talk about data governance. So if you look at many organizations, they're very focused on to be data driven. They really want to make good decisions based on data, but they focus very less on data governance. Most of the organizations, they just want a dashboard to actually show key metrics, but they focus very less on the underlying data itself. That's where the data governance comes in. So the core objective of this program is about how do you actually increase trust in the data itself, and how do you actually make better decisions by utilizing the data assets you hold. And more importantly, especially for public sector organization, how do you make sure you have high compliance? So if you look at the business drivers to actually enable an organization to be data driven and then achieve its core objective, which is detailed here, there are three main items they have to focus on. The first one is democratized data access. So irrespective of whether anyone in the organization have access to the data sets, they should be able to discover the data set. So that talks about democratizing data access, where a metadata actually plays a huge role. The other crucial factor is data governance. We have to decentralize the data governance. The data governance cannot be a centralized function because it cannot scale. You cannot keep on hiring data stewards. We have to give the power back to the business because the business actually generates the data, and actually enable them and equip them with different tools and concepts so that they actually govern the data themselves. The next more important thing is distribution of data tools. We have to give the business stakeholders all the tools that they require to actually manipulate the data, manage the data, and then obviously visualize the data, and then do some data analytics on the top just to drive their decision making. However, most of the organizations have many challenges. They have data sources existing in multiple infrastructure, especially cloud, on-prem. Sometimes it's managed by vendors, and the data source itself is managed in different databases. For example, it'll be sitting on different technologies such as Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, Sybase, Siebel, and Access databases. And sometimes the data actually lies in Excel spreadsheets. The current the next challenge is in the security aspect of this data holdings. There's most of the some of the organizations might not have a proper Active Directory integration of the data databases, which means then they don't do role-based security access. More predominantly, the metadata information of many of those data sources are missing or might not be documented properly. If you don't have zero documentation, and then it becomes really hard to perform data integration of multiple data sets. So there are a few ways to actually solve this problem. The one of the ways is you can actually federate the data to actually liberate the value. Pretty much you build a federated data store. There are other techniques, for example, data virtualization, where you don't have to federate the data, and then instead you build a logical layer on the top of all your databases, and then you have a you have a holistic view of your data sources. In our organization, we started looking at this problem by building an enterprise data management framework. The data management framework is completely based on set of principles. So we have 5 category in this data management framework. Policy, where we talk about governance and guidelines. process in terms of implementation plan of all those policies, audit in terms of assessing how those policies and process are being implemented, and controls in terms of your security and privacy. And the fifth pillar in this data management framework is itself is a technology platform where everything fits together.